Hey guys, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
We're two lifelong friends and musicians, but when we're not playing gigs, we like to talk games.
And today on the Gaming Gig Podcast, we're talking about Sea of Thieves being the most downloaded PlayStation game in May, what it means for the future of Xbox, and good guy Valve is being sued. Randy, do you realize that this is 125 straight episodes of this humble little podcast that we record in the woods?
It feels crazy to me. By the way, guys, if you're new around here, welcome to the Gaming Gig Podcast.
Welcome
to the 125th episode, apparently.
My God.
If you're new around here, you should know this is a viewer-driven podcast. Basically, what we do is we put polls about whatever the gaming news that week is on the main Gaming Gig channel, not here on the podcast channel. But then we take a look at the comments and results of those polls. We read them, we react to them. It's all about you, really.
It's all about you and Dale.
And
we'll talk about him later.
We'll get to that. But today we're going to be talking about a number of things. Starting things off, we're going to be talking about Sea of Thieves because this is the game that will not die. In fact, it just seems to be getting stronger.
This is the game that should not die. This is the game that should be nurtured and fixed so that all the bugs are gone. And this game should be supported for the rest of our lives. That's how I feel about Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves is having a moment right now. And I knew it was happening. There's news. Basically, the big headline is that Sea of Thieves was the best-selling game on the PlayStation in the month of May.
Yep.
Which is just crazy because it's an Xbox game.
Right.
But, obviously that let me know Sea of Thieves is having a moment. But last night, around midnight, I get a text from my brother who is a gamer, but he is like, in my mind, he is the essence of like the general, like...
You're talking about your youngest brother.
My youngest brother, yeah. He's like 21 years old. He plays he buys the yearly sports games. He's always gaming, but he's kind of like my picture of what the general gaming audience is outside of the like hardcores.
Yeah, and what a dweeb he is too.
And so he texts me he's not a dweeb.
I know, I like Jesse.
He texts me a picture of him playing Sea of Thieves and he says...
No, he did not.
He says, all my friends...
He did not.
He really did. And he said, all my friends are playing Sea of Thieves now.
You're freaking kidding me.
No.
What?
I know.
Can we play Sea of Thieves with Jesse? Can we get Jesse to sail with us?
Potentially. But it shows me that like Sea of Thieves is going mainstream. It's big now.
Is that why he followed us on Twitch?
Yes.
Because he was like thinking about Sea of Thieves?
Yes. Yep.
I would love to play Sea of Thieves with Jesse. I don't know about his friends, but that would be awesome. We used to play Fortnite with Jesse.
We did back in the day.
Yeah. He taught us the ropes, because he's a young Gen Zer and he knows how to play those things.
He does, yes. So yeah, I mean,
we can teach him the ropes this time.
Yeah.
Swabby ass.
So that to me was kind of like the moment I was like, oh my God, Sea of Thieves is really going like, it's big now. If my little brother is texting me about it, he doesn't text me about video games unless they are like like he got a PlayStation 5 to play Spider-Man 2, and he plays the, whatever, the basketball and football. 2K, and then Madden. He plays Madden. Like those are his games.
Right. FIFA.
He doesn't play
Tiger
FIFA.
Woods.
But it's crazy to
Mario
me.
Tennis.
So what do you think about old Sea of Thieves being the number one PlayStation game in the month of May?
It just makes me really, really, really happy. I knew, you got me into Sea of Thieves because you had a guitar lesson that you teach that got you into it. And I knew from the beginning that this game was unique, and it's like, it offers something that I don't get from other games. It's hard for me to put my finger exactly on what that is, but I'll try, as we talk through it. But I'm really, really happy that it's getting a little shine. And I'm really glad that it went multi-plat because that's just increased the player base, and I love that. What about you?
Oh, I think it's amazing. I'm happy for Rare. I'm happy for Sea of Thieves. Honestly, I'm happy for Xbox too, because I think that obviously we're going to talk more about the conversation about Xbox putting their games multi-platform later on in the podcast.
Spoilers.
But I think overall it's been really cool to see. It's good to see, Sea of Thieves grow and reach a new audience. And I'm sure that Rare is super pumped about the success it's had on PlayStation.
Yeah, I guess you could say that the Sea of Thieves is at high tide.
I love that so much. That did not hurt at all.
Yeah, it's also, at the time of recording this, we're smack dab in the middle of community weekend for season 13.
12.
So 12, you're right. 13's coming. There's just never been a better time, I don't think, to get into Sea of Thieves. Is it broken? Are there bugs? Yes, of course. Has there ever been a time when there weren't bugs that broke the game? No. So just play the damn game.
I mean, they're minimal. They're
not minimal.
They're there, but they don't stop the game from being fun, is what I should say.
Yeah, no, they don't stop the game from being fun, but they do keep you from doing pretty normal things.
Sometimes.
There are some bugs that I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to stick up for Rare on this because while I do think they're trying, for some reason they just haven't pulled it off.
It's tough.
Yeah. But like I said, all those things aside, I still say all these great things about the game. So that tells you what kind of game we're talking about here. I spent Randy, I probably played 10 hours of Sea of Thieves yesterday.
I know you did.
I'm not gonna lie. It was probably like 10 hours. I basically,
was it a little excessive? Maybe.
Yes, but I was trying to grind towards a curse, and I was trying to take advantage of the double rep or the multiplier that's on rep for community weekend, and I was just like, I don't know when there's going to be another double rep weekend. Let's just do it. Let's knock it out. Be done. And I did, and I'm really proud.
Well, good for you.
It was one of the hardest grinds in games I've ever done.
It was at least putting in the hours was tough, right?
Yeah, the whole thing was tough.
The whole thing.
Hourglass is tough, man.
It is. It's really hard.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, now you guys know how we think about it, but how do you guys feel about it? We did draw some comments about Sea of Thieves here. And we're going to start things off with one from old Ed Moyle, who said, I convinced my friends on the PlayStation to get it because I used to play alone on PC, but now with friends, it's so much better, but alone, it isn't bad either.
Yeah. It is way better with friends. It's definitely a game that blossoms once you get people to play it with you. But it can be played solo. You're right. I've been doing more of that lately, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just different.
Depending on what you do, it's a very different vibe. Like if you are playing adventure solo, it's very relaxing.
It is.
Hourglass solo, not going to be relaxing at all.
Hourglass solo is not relaxing, but I'll tell you, it is the most relaxing form that Hourglass can take.
Well, that's true.
That is pretty nuts, but solo Hourglass is the least sweaty one. So,
but with friends, it really turns from like a relaxing adventure at sea to being, you getting all these shenanigans, and it's just
you're wading through the blood and guts of your enemies. I mean, it's a whole thing. We got another comment here from Cursed Combine, who said, Sea of Thieves is great and is much, much better than Skull and Bones. Only major complaints is the PvP and cheaters.
So, cheaters is still a problem in Sea of Thieves.
But they implemented easy anti-cheat, Randy.
Right. So
what do you mean?
They did. They implemented, but here's the problem. You can just, if you're playing on PC, you can just go in and turn off the easy anti-cheat, and it is just 100% gone.
No, that's too easy.
You really can.
That's why they call it easy.
You can just go into your task manager and just end task. That was my fingers.
Oh, okay.
You can just end the task, and then it's done.
That's probably why they named it that.
Yeah, because it's easy to.
It's easy to
turn off.
It's easy to cheat.
Yeah.
It's easy cheat. Anyway, yeah, the cheaters are there. They're not as bad as they were. And I don't run into too many of them outside of Hourglass. And even in Hourglass, they're rarer than they used to be.
Yeah, I don't play that much Hourglass, so I run into cheaters very infrequently.
Yeah.
But when you do run into a cheater, it is wild.
Yeah.
It feels crazy.
It does. I did run into one yesterday.
Oh,
I ran into one cheater very early. He teleported onto my ship and just had his way with me.
Of course he did, because he can't be destroyed. He's got lock on shots, and he just can go wherever you want. He can get away.
Yeah.
There's about nothing you can do to take out a cheater.
Not much. I mean, yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. That being said, the PvP cheaters aside, I really like.
Yeah.
So I love the PvP, and I love the ship combat in Sea of Thieves.
The ship combat is super fun. I love how just everything is on you. You know, the game does nothing for you.
Nothing.
And you just, it's all on you.
It won't even start for you sometimes.
Facts. All right, we got a comment from Barar who says, Sea of Thieves has the beauty of the gameplay is one of the features. Only one of the features. Sorry, I skipped a word, and I'm not sure that sentence made a whole lot of sense
fault,
anyway.
man.
Anyways.
I think he's trying to say the gameplay is beautiful, and it's one of the features.
Oh, it's one of the features. Every voyage gives you a new tale, a new story, and a new reason to play again. Now, that sentence I can agree with for sure, 100%. I believe that is why you wake in a tavern at the beginning of every session. Even on your first time loading into the Sea of Thieves, you still have the tale of your adventures. Oh, that's very poetic, isn't it?
It is. I loved this comment. That's why I pulled it. I love talking about waking in the tavern and how it like implies a history of adventures, even if it's the first time you've booted the game.
Yeah,
I love that. It's so true. You know, when you boot into the game, you wake up in a tavern from like a drunken stupor. You know, that's what they're trying to kind of
it feels that way.
Yeah, kind of simulate. And I've even seen streamers like Hitbo specifically. Hitbo is hilarious. If you don't know Hitbo, go watch him on Twitch. When he does an open crew and when he wakes up in the tavern, he always like starts role playing and he'll say like, "Oh my God, like what happened to Jim? You know, where did Jim go last night?" And then I've seen clips where the people that he's playing with play along with it, you know, and it like just kind of catapults this like silliness and I love that. I just love that.
Sea of Thieves is a cool game to roleplay with. I know we've dabbled in messing around with a little bit of roleplay aspects, but not really. We kind of just are silly.
We did host a trivia show on Sea of Thieves. Is that roleplay?
Yeah, I think so.
That's roleplay. We like sailed around and found people and made them answer trivia questions, and if they got them right, we gave them treasure.
That was fun.
We should do that again.
We could bring that back every once in a while.
Yeah, that was fun.
So, obviously, we probably should move on to the next topic. We could probably wax poetic about how much we love Sea of Thieves forever.
I do love Sea of Thieves.
But yeah, so like with all the success that Sea of Thieves has seen on PlayStation, you know, that kind of brings you to the next question, which is, should Xbox keep up the strategy? And
we asked you guys that, and we have a poll. But before we get to that, I want to tell you about our Twitch. I just mentioned Hitbo on Twitch. Well, we've got a lot smaller channel than him, but it's got a lot of heart. And we stream over there every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, and some Fridays and Saturdays. And a lot of the time it's Sea of Thieves. Sometimes it's just hanging out, chatting, playing random games. Sometimes we do a guess the game, which is kind of like our thing now. It's like our calling card. And we'd love to have you. So go throw us a follow and come hang out.
Yeah, we love stream on Twitch. We'd love to have you come and hang out and talk with us. You're right. So, like I said, the question now is, should Xbox continue this strategy that they have started where they are putting games, you know, off the Xbox onto PlayStation? They've kind of decided, hey, maybe having these exclusives isn't working out for us. Let's just try to go multi-plat and see what happens. Sea of Thieves is obviously probably the biggest game they've done this with so far.
Yeah.
The question is, should they continue? Right. Should they put maybe even some bigger games? Maybe Gears.
Is there a bigger game?
Maybe Halo.
What's bigger than SOT?
Well, I mean, I think that there are definitely some games that would be considered bigger games than Sea of Thieves. I just named two. Halo, Gears of War.
I didn't ask you to name two. I asked you to name one, and clearly you are incapable. So, we asked y'all, should Xbox keep doing this crap? And at 79%, y'all said yes. At 21%, you said no. So an overwhelming majority, but 21% is not. It's not negligible. It's not nothing. I guess is what I should have said.
Absolutely. It's a kind of a tough decision because you know that like Xbox putting games on other platforms. If you're a longtime Xbox console gamer, you may not like the idea that your console doesn't feel like it has much of a reason to be there anymore.
Right.
I understand that.
Yeah. It might feel like a loss, you know. It might feel like you've been defeated.
It's reminiscent of like Sega.
It is, and we have a comment about Sega later.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it definitely can feel that way.
And we all know what happened with Sega. So,
yeah.
No longer a thing.
I will say when I every time I see a Sega boot up, like say I'm playing a ROM or something, and I get that like pop up and it says Sega, I love that. So maybe Xbox can have something like that, and maybe they can at least stick around in in the way of a cool boot up animation.
I think that there are a number of avenues that Xbox could pursue to stay relevant. And Sega obviously isn't the console powerhouse that they once were.
Right.
But they're still around. We
They are.
still get Sega games. It's still a thing. It's not like they're gone. So I don't think that this is a death sentence. I think that this could be a way for Xbox to stay around, because I think on the path they're going, they have to try something.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Don't look at it as a defeat. Look at it as another avenue to victory.
There you go.
And we got some comments on that. We got a comment from Progs who said, it's not about if they should, but that they have to now. After spending so much money on studios, they have to start earning a profit. And that's not happening with a small player base. You conditioned to not buy games. I did a pretty good job at implying the punctuation.
Yeah.
Until the very end.
Until the very end. But this is a great comment here, because this suggests that Xbox has been telling their gamers or their players that they don't have to buy games. Instead, you can just go to Game Pass and just basically have a subscription, and you can play all our games for a pretty low price. So maybe they're going to sell games better on other platforms where the player base isn't conditioned to think, oh, I'll just pay for the subscription to play this game.
And, they also mentioned here spending so much money on studios. Obviously, I think they're talking about the Activision acquisition, Bethesda,
all that stuff, yeah.
Blizzard, all that. So, is that driving their decisions? I think it has to be, as much money as they spent. And it has to.
And then also, they've kind of got to a position where, especially with Activision, they are not just, it maybe just doesn't even make sense for them to do it, but they are like legally required to do it, because that was the whole thing about the acquisition of Activision, was that Call of Duty has to come to PlayStation. It has to go to Nintendo's platform
For like the next 30 years.
I think it's 10, but it's a quite amount of time. So maybe they're like, look, we're going to have to do it anyway. Let's just lean into this and see where it takes us.
I feel like that's, when you phrase it that way, it feels like they're rolling the dice with like billions of dollars. But maybe that's what businesses do.
Well, I mean, are they rolling the dice with billions of dollars?
Well, they're rolling the dice based on tons of projections and analytics.
Right.
But
well, they know that, like, if Call of Duty is on only Xbox, it would severely limit the potential that Call of Duty has. Right. So they can't do it anyway. But, even if they did, it wouldn't limit it. Because this is a game that historically has been multi-platform. If you look at the top-selling games, like the tippy top of the top,
I don't know if I want to do that.
Best-selling games, like the number one selling game of all time. I mean, like, I don't know, you could count like the Tetris thing or whatever, but the one that
pack it in with the Game Boy, baby.
The one that comes to my mind is GTA 5, and that is obviously a multi-platform game not even across multi-platforms, across multi-generational game.
No kidding. And it never came to Switch.
No, it hadn't. That's really weird.
Isn't that weird?
It's super weird. I heard that it was in
weird.
development, because there was like some, I think some like data miners that found that like they tried, or at least it was played around with. I may be wrong about that, but I think I remember a story about that a long time ago.
That would have been a cool one to have on Switch.
Maybe it'll be a launch title of whatever comes next.
A launch title of the next Nintendo system, GTA 5.
Yes.
From like 47 years ago.
Yes.
It's still a great game.
You never know. All right, we have a comment here from Soul Intent, who says, I never liked Xbox, but I got tired of the compatibility issues with PC, so I got a Series X. And you know what? I actually love it. I wouldn't want to see Xbox become like Sega, just a big company that owns many studios and puts those games on other consoles, no longer making their own console. I'd rather Xbox be the place where I get my nostalgia and a few new experiences, and PlayStation is fine as it is.
Yeah, and this made me wonder, is that approach feasible for Xbox to be like, you know what? We're going to put a ton of games on multiplayer, but we're still going to make games. We're going to be that place for nostalgia and occasional experiences. That doesn't seem like something a company can really hang its hat on.
No. But at the same time, I do think that there is an avenue here that Xbox can go where they do make multi-plat releases, but they still have a place in the console market. And I think the way that they do that is if they really go all in on the idea of, you know, an Xbox really being a PC.
Yeah.
Like basically go in. We've seen now
consoleized PC.
A consoleized PC, exactly. If they can make a basically sort of the way you have the Steam Deck.
Yeah,
uses,
Steam Deck is definitely doing that.
Right, Steam Deck's doing that with having this the Steam OS, you know, on it. If they can come up with an Xbox operating system that basically like, you know, consoleizes a PC, turns it into an Xbox experience, I think that is a really good opportunity for them, because then obviously Microsoft can make Xbox, whether it be a console or a handheld or a gaming PC that is, you know, branded Xbox. They could go do whatever they wanted with that. But then also third parties could come in and do it as well. So Xbox could just kind of all of a sudden stop being a smaller product and being something that, you know, anyone could get into, even like just the general person who's maybe considering buying a laptop, may consider buying an Xbox laptop because it maybe has really good specs, and then, you know, they have this gaming thing, you know, that they could do with it if they want.
So you'd make Xbox like a branch of Microsoft that they like tack on to things that are more gamery.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Asus does with ROG.
Exactly. Or how HP does with Omen, you know. But this would be Xbox branded, you know. And I could see that being an avenue of success for them.
Yeah, I could see that too. I think it all hinges on if they can make a nice OS for this. And if they can, then I think they have a great opportunity.
Oh, yeah, I really do. I think that there is a chance of success. And well, obviously, I think they are going to do this, I think.
And we're going to talk about that.
We'll talk that
later
in the bonus episode. We'll talk about that.
Sorry.
But yeah. We'll continue to read some comments here.
Okay, so we are at, sorry, I got scrolled.
We're at Hung Low.
Hung Low. All right. Hung Low said, I definitely put the Activision and Bethesda stuff on PlayStation. Keep Gears of War, Halo, Perfect Dark, Fable, etc. on Xbox. Exclusivity isn't a bad thing when it makes sense. Having Call of Duty exclusive would be incredibly stupid. Same goes for Doom.
That's interesting. You know, I assume that you're saying that it would be stupid because Call of Duty has historically been multi-plat.
And it sells so well. And
Doom has historically been multi-plat. I think it's interesting that the newest Doom that they announced is going to be multi-platform. I kind of thought that might be timed exclusive to Xbox.
Yeah, and it looks so good too. I wondered if that was going to be an Xbox exclusive, and you know, obviously it'd just drive a few Game Pass subscriptions. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad it's not, honestly, but. Because I don't think I've ever played it. Yeah, I haven't. I haven't played any Doom games on Xbox.
It's not coming to Nintendo though, is it? Like the last Doom game, Doom Eternal, it came out on Switch.
So did the first one.
Yeah, it did, but it came out later. But I think Eternal was at least supposed to come out day and date on Switch. I think it had to get delayed, but it eventually did come out on Switch. But so I wonder if they're like trying to keep the Nintendo thing.
I don't know. I think...
What platforms does it say at the top there?
Oh, there it is.
PS5, X Series X, oh no.
No.
It may be.
Maybe it'll do it eventually.
Maybe it hasn't been announced, but it's coming out on the next Nintendo. But because they haven't announced it yet, they can't say that it's coming out on that.
Let's hope. That'd be pretty cool.
Put on your tinfoil hats, y'all.
I would like to see Doom guy slinging that Captain America saw shield on a new Switch.
You've played Doom on Switch.
I did. I played the first, 2016.
Yep.
I played that on Switch. And I loved it.
Yeah.
It was super fun. It ran fine. Looked a little worse than the other consoles, but it still looked good.
I played it on Xbox via Game Pass. But then I bought a copy, I think, for PlayStation when I bought a physical copy. It doesn't really matter. We'll see what old randomized YouTuber has to say.
This is a bot, by the way.
Says PlayStation needs to put Helldivers 2 on the Xbox.
Yeah, and this made me wonder, like, because I know I've heard people say this since Helldivers came out. It's a great game. Everybody loves it. We'd love to be able to play it on Xbox. We get that. But this made, we were talking about this before we started filming today. Like, should PlayStation reciprocate? Should they put games on Xbox, just like Xbox puts games on PlayStation? And what incentive do they have to do it?
Yeah, I think that if PlayStation were to do this, they would have almost nothing to gain by doing it.
And why do you say that, Coyote?
I think that because like their Helldivers 2 is already on PC, right? And then, so I would say that the player base that is interested in Helldivers 2 on Xbox would be such a negligible number. Not that it would be a small number, but it would it would be a small enough number that it's not worth it for PlayStation, especially to degrade the sense of needing a PlayStation to play those exclusives.
Right. So you're saying they wouldn't gain enough to offset them just sticking to it and being like, nope, buy a PlayStation.
Exactly.
Okay. Because we have a friend on Discord, old Kitaclysm.
Yeah.
And Kit was in this position.
Exactly.
Kit had to play Helldivers, only had an Xbox, and went through multiple. This was a saga, a whole saga that we followed on Discord. But eventually, Kit got a Steam Deck, but then like the order got all screwed up, and then they just went and bought a PlayStation 5 anyway.
Yeah,
and that's what Kit plays Helldivers on, but also now just loves the Steam Deck. So it had a happy ending, but. I'm sorry, Kit, that Randy just discounted you.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying, like, as a business move. I just don't know that it would be. I don't think that PlayStation has much. I think they have actually. I think it would be a bad move for them.
Well, I'll tell you, PlayStation's already sending messages because they're putting Lego Horizon Adventures on the Switch. But they told old Tim and Phil to shove it.
Yeah, they told nothing on Xbox. Nothing at all. That is really interesting. That. This is the Lego Horizon Adventure. So if you guys aren't familiar with this, it was announced at Summer Game Fest that a Lego game is coming out, and it's themed around the Horizon games, which are a first-party PlayStation IP. And
you probably heard of it.
It is going to come out day and date on the PlayStation, the PC, and the Nintendo Switch.
But not the Xbox.
Do
you think it's because they couldn't get it running on Series S?
But they could get it running on Switch. No, I don't think that was it. I think that I'm interested. The question that is, was this Lego's like requirement? They're like, look, we'll make a Horizon game, but it has to be multi-plat.
Maybe.
Or was it PlayStation's idea to be like, you know what? Let's do this and let's make it multi-platform and let's get a different audience interested in Horizon so that maybe they'll want to buy a PlayStation so that they can play Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West.
Right.
Maybe like once those kids grow up a little bit, they might want to play the real...
Might want to play the big boy version of Aloy and all these Robo Dinos, All this kitty Lego stuff in the past.
I think that it's probably a good idea for PlayStation to do it with this particular move because it's not like it is a Horizon game.
Right.
It's sort of like a spin-off. It's a Lego game, which are always, I shouldn't say always, but typically they're multi-platform.
Yeah.
It's just really interesting.
It is interesting, and I think the fact that it's not coming to Xbox, I think it was worth noting.
Oh, totally. But it is interesting that we're getting to this point where PlayStation is dabbling with multi-platform stuff, even with their first-party IP. And, of course, Xbox seems to be more or less going whole hog onto it. The one company that's not doing it at all is Nintendo, who is like, they're steadfast.
And it's probably going to, they're probably going to fail because of it.
Probably. That's why they've had the most successful console this generation, because it's just not working for them.
Well, it's like they have they're a new company, they're unproven, and they got lucky this time.
The Switch
jokes.
Like, I know that this episode shouldn't be about Nintendo and Switch, but
we love Nintendo and Switch.
The sales, the sheer amount of games, like, just, it is boggling to me. When I start thinking about all those Switch exclusives that Nintendo has put out this generation, because they combined their home console and handheld market into one, the amount of games.
Oh, it's a ton of games.
That even if you ignore everything else except what Nintendo has published, it is staggering.
If you took a cartridge for every game that Nintendo has sold, and let's just say that even the digital ones, okay, a cartridge represents each sale. How big of a room do you think it would take to hold every cartridge?
Oh, it would be just...
Those cartridges are tiny, Randy.
They're small.
You could put a crap ton in this little room.
I know, but I don't know. We need to look up how much...
We need to do some calculations.
Some calculations on how many pieces of software have been sold on the Switch. Mm-hmm. But it would be a staggeringly large number. I'm sure it is above 1 billion pieces of software have been sold for the Switch.
Right. And what's the volume of a cartridge? That's really what we need to know.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll get back to you on that.
That is wild. That's just crazy to think about. Anyways, any final thoughts on this before we move on to our next topic?
No, not really. I'm excited by maybe where Xbox is headed. And if you want to hear why, stick around and make sure you hit that membership button and watch the bonus episode.
So, we're going to move on.
That's called a teaser, by the way.
Oh, good teaser. We're going to move on to our next topic. But first, I'll tell you guys about something that we are particularly just really enjoy, which is our Discord server. We have such a good time over there, and we would love for you to be a member. If you have Discord and you like doing that kind of thing, we just join in. It's free. There's an invite link in the description of this podcast. It's just a good place to hang out, talk video games. We post, if you play any daily games, like the New York Times games, we post our scores there every day.
That's right. I'm getting better at connections.
Yeah, we post polls there and talk. Daniel is getting better at connections. I
started out really crappy. I'm getting better, though.
Well, you hadn't played before.
No, I hadn't. My brain, didn't work that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like I had to open up a new...
Yeah. I've introduced Catherine to Connections, and she's going through the same phases. Like, she's getting better, but she has to, learn how to play Connections.
Yeah. First day I did it, I failed the puzzle.
The very first day you did it? Yeah. I found that, once you play it, you just know what to look for.
Yeah.
And you get better and better and better.
You do. But occasionally they'll hit you with a word that you just don't know, or you don't know it in that way, and it's hard as crap.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's because the words have definitions that I didn't know they had definitions.
That's what I'm saying.
For.
They have meanings that I don't know about.
Yeah.
English is hard.
But anyways, y'all, we'd love to see you over at the Discord channel, or Discord, not channel. I always say channel. It's a Discord server. There are channels on the server.
Channels, yeah.
And that's what confuses me, because there are channels on the server, but it's a server.
I know.
That's what it is.
Just like I'm learning to play Connections, Randy's learning to speak Discord.
I can't do it. I really can't.
Not with that attitude. So, we have one more topic here. This one kind of came out of left field for me. We were talking about it Friday on the way to our gig, and you're the one who told me about this. But Valve, old Gabe, and Valve are getting sued on some island across the damn ocean.
They are. The UK.
That's the United Kingdom.
The UK. They're getting sued. And the lawsuit alleges that Valve and Steam not that they overcharge for games, but that they are overcharging gamers by requiring that anyone who puts a game on Steam, that the game cannot be sold cheaper somewhere else. So basically, if you want to put your game on sale and you want to sell it for, it used to cost $10, but now you want to sell it for $5, you can't have it be $5 on the Epic Games Store and $10 on Steam. It has to be the same lowest price,
Right. And in addition to that, they require every publisher, whatever piece of software you want on Steam, they're going to take 30% off every sale. So, those two things in combination, I think, is the issue here that the United Kingdom seems to have. And maybe what's leading to the accusation of overcharging.
Right. And so this is an interesting thing, because you'd think, as a customer of Steam, you might think the fact that Steam requires that you can't sell a game lower somewhere else, that if it's lower somewhere else, it has to be lower on Steam. Well, you think, that's a great thing, because that means I can just go to Steam and I know that whatever that price of that game is, that's the lowest it's going to be anywhere. I don't have to shop around. I know that if it's, whatever price it is here, I can just buy it there and not worry about it.
Right. and it seems really pro-consumer, just like a lot of things Valve does.
Yeah.
But you did bring up a scenario to me the other day of where maybe it seems pro-consumer, but maybe we're getting hit a little harder than we would have. So walk us through that, because I'm not sure that I can do it. There's so many ins and outs.
So, yeah, you might think that this is, at least surface level, I was like, well, I don't see why it would even, how could they be overcharging me? How could it lead to a situation where I'm actually paying more because of this? But then the scenario I came up with is, just for the sake of easy math, let's say that a game is priced at $100. Okay. That game is $100. Valve takes 30% of a sale away from.
Sale?
I'm too redneck.
A sale?
They take 30% away from the publisher when you buy it. So when you buy a game for $100, the publisher gets $70. Valve and Steam gets $30. Okay. So, that might be the number that the publisher thinks that they need for the game. They need $70 for this game. So they're charging $100 so they can make $70.
Right.
But let's say on the Epic Game Store, which I think only charges 15%, they might say, well, heck, we could charge less on Epic and still make over $70. Because let's say we charge, we could charge $90 for the game and get, they take 15% of 90, which I don't know what that is. Or maybe it's 95. I don't know. The point is they could charge cheaper on Epic. You pay less for the game. They make the same, if not more, So what is 90% of
13.5?
So at that point, they would be making 76 and a half. So they're
$76.50.
You're getting charged $10 less. They're making $6 more. So it's a win-win for both the consumer and the publisher. Obviously, we made the math easy to do it, but it scales.
Right, scales.
So technically, it could be you could be getting overcharged because Steam won't let it be priced cheaper at another place.
Right. And we fabricated that example, but I'm sure that scenarios like that have come across the tables of meeting rooms,
right,
at various publishing offices. So that's a thing. That's real. The maths. Yeah. And it is. I just kind of thought, like, you were saying, like, oh, you go to Steam, that's the lowest price you can find it, period. But, there are websites where you can go buy keys.
Right.
And some of them are sketchy and you shouldn't use them. Yeah. But some of them aren't, like Humble. Yeah. Like Humble Bundle, things like that. And we used that because we recently bought Kakarot. Yeah. And we got it for $15 because we got keys off Humble. And it was priced like $30-$35. It was higher on Steam, I remember. Yes. So there are ways to find cheaper prices than even they have on Steam. But how does that work in the back end? Like, where does the money go? Who's getting less money? We don't know.
Yeah, we really don't know. I think that probably because you're buying a Steam key, I would imagine that because that Steam key has already been sold. Yeah. Or it's somewhere, it's a key, it's off of the Steam platform. Right. I would imagine that Steam's probably not taking a hit.
I would imagine not.
I would think that they're not taking a hit. They're not losing any money.
But then how does Humble do this? Like, that's what I don't get. How does Humble do the things they do? Because they offer great deals. This is not an ad for Humble, but
yeah, I know, it's weird.
But I've used them multiple times, and I know a lot of PC gamers do, and the deals there are kind of crazy.
Yeah, they can be, and I don't know how it works logistically, but I would bet money that the one person or the one entity that is not worried about games being sold for cheap on Humble is Steam. I don't think they care.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think Gabe is losing any sleep over it.
No, I very much doubt it. But so I think that there is a argument to be made that Steam might be causing games to be priced higher for the consumer if by doing this price parity rule.
Yeah, and I think, what maybe you guys are thinking and what I was kind of thinking when we first started talking about this is like, well, this is just an agreement that Steam asks people to agree to. Nobody has to do it. It's not a law. It's a policy.
You don't have to put your game on Steam. You don't. You can put it on Epic Games Store instead.
And put it as cheap as you want.
Right.
But how did Valve get to this point where they have gotten so many people to agree to this that they're being sued over it? Well, it's because Steam's been around forever. Yeah. People like the platform. And that's really powerful, like in
Super
the market.
powerful,
You know,
yeah.
being the top dog, whether it's because you got there first or because you did it better or a combination of the two, who knows? That's a really powerful position, and that's why we have these like, you know, pro-consumer laws and policies that protect us from corporations getting too big for their britches. I'm not saying that's what Valve is doing. I love Valve.
Right.
But I also think it's a little dangerous if you start just being like a shill for a giant corporation, because they just want your money.
Yeah, they don't care. Yeah,
Now, they
that's
just
true.
have found out that maybe doing these things that are pro-consumer or at least seem pro-consumer gives them more money. That's why they do them.
Yes.
They're motivated by money.
Yeah.
So that being said, Gabe, I still love you.
Yeah, I mean, they have, like you bring a point, they're very powerful. The question is, are they using that power in a way that like keeps competition away?
Yeah.
Is what this move that seems maybe pro-consumer, which actually may not be if you do the math, because they charge so much to each developer. You know, it may seem pro-consumer, but it may be anti-competition.
Yeah.
And that's where it kind of gets a little okay.
And I don't think you can fault a company for doing that, because that's literally the idea of the free market, is that like somebody wants to have a product or a service and make more money for that than somebody else does. You know, that's the whole idea. I guess it's only a problem when it gets bad enough where somebody has to step in and say, you got to stop.
Right.
But I don't, just like when we talked about Apple and we talked about something else that the EU was talking about doing. Anyway, I just don't like it when we get laws involved.
Oh, it was the EU when we were talking about trying to keep games alive, instead of like if you can't
Yes.
kill off a game, you have to have it playable in some way, because
Yeah.
that's a thing that's being discussed over there.
I don't like the idea of laws like telling a company what they can and can't do, but I don't know that that's really even what's being said here.
No.
They're just kind of saying like, if this lawsuit goes through, everybody in the UK who bought PC games from Steam from a certain date forward is going to get like between 25 and 45 pounds.
Yeah,
or
they're just going to
whatever.
get money back.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're trying to change the law. They're trying to say that Valve is acting... apparently, it is illegal in the UK for a company to use its power to basically bully the market so that they don't have competition. Like, that's an illegal thing to do, which kind of makes
Which
sense.
is so subjective.
Yeah, that is super subjective. But this lawsuit is saying that Valve is doing that.
Right.
Which I think there is an argument that maybe they are. You know, so I don't know.
And if they're going to lose this lawsuit, let's just say they're going to lose it.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they change their policy? Right? Because what's going to stop a lawsuit from popping up again? You know, like they don't want to just keep having to do these payouts. So will it lead to any change? I guess is kind of what I'm
I don't
wondering.
know that it will. I don't know that, you know, the lawsuit is a multi-million pound, you know, lawsuit. It's a big thing, but I don't know how much it actually, even if they lose, will it even hurt them that much? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
Because it was like 600 and something million.
That's not nothing.
No, that's not nothing. And I think when you convert it into US dollars, it probably gets close to $1 billion. Like, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
But you have like Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard for $69 billion. So it's like, you know, Valve is a very large company and we don't know how much money they make. This could be a drop in the bucket to them.
It could be. It definitely could be. And so if this were to change, you know, would we, the end consumer, like see a big change? Would it help us out? Would it only help developers and publishers? I don't know.
It's hard to say. You know, I think that if, say, for example, Valve and Steam changes their policy so that you don't have to have it be, it could be cheaper somewhere else. So that if you wanted to make it cheaper on Epic because they take less of a cut and you could charge less and still make the same or if not more, you know, would that... I think that I would be willing to shop around, but not everyone would like that. Not everyone would like knowing the fact that, you know, they're looking at the game on Steam, but they're like, well, maybe it's cheaper on Epic. Not everyone's going to like that.
No, they're not. I mean, shopping around is just a smart thing to do, but there are people that are pretty tied to Steam. That's where their whole library is, you know, and I get that. I mean, that's not nothing.
Would those people be okay with paying a little more, knowing that, you know, they get to keep their library in the same place?
They might. There's probably a limit to how much more they would be willing to pay, but right now, like when I think about Steam, I think, oh, great deals, tons of games, Steam Deck. You know, I think about all these great things, right?
Yeah.
If I had to change that to like, oh, slightly more expensive than everywhere else, that would really change my perception of Steam.
Yeah.
And Steam don't want that.
No.
So,
yeah, it's tough, but like we don't talk about, it's not talked about much, but Steam takes more of a cut than other platforms. And like it's a problem because you talk to like developers, like we have a fellow who's developing a game in our Discord channel now. Asked his opinion, he's like, Steam takes a lot. They take 30%, which he said feels like a lot to him, but he doesn't know what to do about it because Steam is the biggest platform. You have to have your game on Steam if you want it to be successful. You can't avoid Steam.
Exactly, especially like a startup, small indie team making their first game, like with Steve that you're talking about now. I think it would probably be a bad call for somebody in that position to not want their game to be on Steam. So, and Valve knows that. Yeah.
And they know that. So they know that there's, you're going to have your game on Steam if you want to be successful.
But they are the biggest online platform. Like they are. How did they get there? That's another topic, but they're there. They know it. Do they deserve to be able to charge a little bit of a premium for you to put your game on what is the premier like digital storefront?
Yeah. I mean, it's all good arguments either way. It kind of is like, it's just a very tough thing. And I'm interested to see where this lawsuit goes. I don't know that it's going to do anything, just to be honest. Even if it goes through, I don't think it's going to I doubt we're going to see any changes to Valve and Steam because they obviously what they're doing is working for them.
Right.
But it's things like this that over time start to color people's perceptions of a company. And you realize that at the end of the day, they are a company. It's like,
they are.
Yeah.
They definitely are. Okay. Well, do you have anything to add to Valve or any of our topics from the day, Randy? Anything you missed?
No.
Okay.
Not really.
Well, we're fitting to do our final segment here. We're fitting to do our 3 for Dale Club. We're going to tell you all about it. But I just want to tease you a little bit about this bonus episode because it's just so fun. You can hit the join button. You can come hear us talk about the supposed Xbox handheld that Phil Spencer has all but confirmed. So join up. Come hang out with us over there. It's a little looser. I think you'll like it.
Yeah. And obviously, guys, we know if you can't be a YouTube member, don't worry about it. It is a financial commitment. I do get that. And so but if you do feel like you want to support the podcast and you want to see the bonus episode, obviously we love you for it. But don't feel pressured if you don't want to. We know that not everyone can or wants to, and so that's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I would like to point out that I remembered the hat this week.
Oh, look at that. So our last segment that we do with the podcast every week is our 3 for Dale Club. Now, this is something that anyone can be a part of. All you got to do is leave us a comment on the YouTube version of this podcast and say whatever you want, but leave 3 for Dale. Or put in your comment the phrase 3 for Dale.
Yep, that's our code phrase. I go through when I make this outline every week. I look for it and I pull your comments and we shout you out at the end of the episode. So Randy, hit us with old D Spence.
Right, we got D Spence 18. Now, says 3 for Dale. The artist formerly known as D18. I think I changed my username finally. Well, it's going to be hard for me to change to D18 to D Spence 18, but I'm willing to do it because you put in the effort to change your username. I love it.
Omaha. And I am so happy to see this because when I do these outlines, right, the way I do it is I screenshot the comment and I just throw it in the outline. It's really easy. It's really streamlined.
Yeah.
Right? Well, with your comments up to this point, because it didn't have your name on it, I would put D18 and then I would quote it and then I would put it in the outline so that we would know who it's from. And it wasn't a big deal at all. I was happy to do it for you, but you did save me 4 seconds every Sunday by doing this, and I am very grateful. So thank you, and welcome back to the 3 for Dale Club. Next up, we got Josh Malloy, who said, great episode again, 3 for Dale.
Josh, I think you might be a new member of the club.
I think you might be.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, welcome.
Glad to have you here.
It's kind of a exclusive kind of thing. Welcome.
Next, we got Landon Stallings, Dale himself. Landon has a comment about the Xbox game showcase that happened last week.
Okay.
Landon said, Xbox brought the heat. I am so incredibly hyped for the Snake Eater remake as it is my favorite game of all time. I'm also excited for Stalker 2, Shadow of Chernobyl. It was one of the first exclusives I played after jumping to PC. The Indiana Jones game looks promising as well. As a new indie fan, I'm here for it. And lastly, South of Midnight. Maybe it's just the music, the setting, or the southern drawl of the characters. But as a southerner myself, something about this game has my attention. 3 for Dale.
Yeah, South of Midnight. That's that game with the talking catfish, I think.
I do believe that's correct. Yep.
That catfish sounded like my freaking grandfather. So, yeah, I get
As
that.
fellow Southern boys, we resonate with that kind of stuff. The talking catfish gets us.
Oh, yeah. All right, next and last this week in 3 for Dale Club, but certainly not least, is Kitaclysm. We talked about Kit earlier. Kit said, particularly on my Steam Deck, I'm a big indie fan. Talking about indie games, not Indiana Jones. Coming up on 120 hours in Balatro, still loving it. Nothing in the Summer Game Fest that particularly stand out to me aside from the Killer Bean game. Y'all still need to watch that on YouTube, for real, on God. I've yet to watch the Xbox showcase, but I've seen some things around, and I'm pretty interested in State of Decay 3 and what I assume is a console remake of Age of Mythology. I keep forgetting to 3 for Dale since I listen to the podcast at work, which I've had for almost all of the past 7 days, but I do want to point out Randy said Namek, and it's pronounced Planet Namek.
That is so funny. We've had the conversation a couple times on the podcast about one. You guys should know we're big Dragon Ball fans, and one of the interesting things I've always thought was strange about in Dragon Ball Z, when they go to Planet Namek, they rarely ever just call it Namek. They almost always refer to it as Planet Namek, which is a little weird.
It is a little weird. They played it loose with Namek early on. They also referred to Piccolo as a Namek.
Yeah, sometimes as a Namek, and then most of the time it's Namekian.
Well, eventually they shifted to Namekian.
Yeah.
Because that's correct. I don't know. Maybe it was a translation thing. You know, that's why they were calling him a Namek.
Yeah,
early on.
Like,
I don't know.
Who knows? When you're talking about, dubs and stuff, like...
Yeah.
I brought up the idea one time when we talked about this. I can't remember if we talked about it on stream or on the podcast or whatever. I thought, well, maybe the reason they call it Planet Namek is that whatever the word is in Japanese is like long. Mm-hmm. So they had to like put in some words that were longer. So instead of just calling it Namek, which is very short, they put Planet Namek to fill the space.
That way it doesn't look like Namek.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, it already does look a little bit like that, but, they try to make it work as well as they can. Mm-hmm. So maybe that is it. If anyone knows what the Japanese term, like what they say for Planet Namek or Namek, like what is it?
Well, they probably still say Namek because that's a proper noun.
Probably. Maybe
so it would really just be the Japanese word for planet, right?
Yeah, I mean, like maybe it's like Earth. We say planet Earth. That's not weird. We say Earth and planet Earth.
惑星
That's how you say planet.
That's how you say planet.
惑星惑星惑星
Okay.
Okay.
Now we know.
Glad we got to the bottom of that.
Now we know. All right, y'all. Well, I do believe that brings us to the end. So until next time, I'm Randy.
Which makes me Daniel.
And this has been Gaming Gig.
Peace out and go Braves. They really need your support. They're struggling right now. Go watch your Atlanta Braves.